Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Around the Ballpark podcast, episode number 53. I cannot believe we're already at 53 episodes. This thing just got started back in April of this year, so that is awesome to see the growth. But we are here live tonight, November 24th, and I am your host, Mike Redmond, with Around the Ballpark podcast, alongside my partner, my co-host, my brother, Darren Redmond is here. Thank you for being on, Darren.
How are you now?
Yeah, and then tonight, our guest of honor, who we'll get to meet here in just a few moments, is Edwin Bonilla, and we are here to talk Tampa Bay Buccaneers football with a little bit of Thanksgiving twist in there as well. So, Edwin, thank you for joining us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, guys.
And so, Darren, would you mind sharing before we get started, as always, and I know he's watching right now, shout out to Christopher Bennett, our sponsor. But Darren, if you have a few words for our listeners.
You know, right around the time of Thanksgiving, I just want to let everyone know again, Chris Bennett is the man. What he does at Nashville Tax Solutions is incredible. So, you know, attention, Palm Bay and everybody else out in the world, if you have tax troubles, Nashville Tax Solutions has got you covered. You know, whether you're behind on returns, you're facing a lien, or you just need expert advice like we all do, their team, Chris's team, is ready to help. Here's what a couple of clients have told us in person, online, private messaging. You know, Chris Bennett and his team saved me from a financial nightmare. Chris Bennett and his staff are knowledgeable, clear, compassionate, and active listeners. Nothing worse than when you're talking to somebody over the phone, you don't even get out the first sentence and they just bum rush you with answers and make you really feel insecure. So don't let taxes ever stress you out. Reach out to Nashville Tax Solutions today. Call 615-502-2250 or visit NashvilleTaxSolutions.com or email info@NashvilleTaxSolutions.com. Nashville Tax Solutions, where tax resolution is achieved.
Thank you, Darren. And just one more fun thought or mention of with Christopher Bennett and Nashville Tax Solutions. He actually recently, just this week, got to go to the CMA Awards in Nashville, Tennessee. So that was pretty cool. I'm sure I'll have to hear about that experience. And Chris, if you're still there in the chat, if you want to go ahead and throw some comments in there what that experience was like. But again, thank you, Nashville Tax Solutions. But our guest tonight, Edwin Bonilla, welcome to the show. If you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself and how you became like what you do, and then how you became a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
My name is Edwin Bonilla. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, but I've been living in Florida for the last 16 years now. And I became a Bucs fan way back in '98 when I was playing football as a young lad. And I played defensive end and outside linebacker. So I taken to the Bucs because they drafted Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp. You know, they had one of the greatest defenses back in that time when they won their first Super Bowl back in the 2002 season. So that's how I became a Bucs fan, just because of their defense.
Because of their defense. And one of the things we'll get to a little bit later on our show, one of the staples of our show is talking about Mount Rushmore. And it's always a fun thing. And for me, when I think about Tampa Bay Buccaneers and I think about my personal Mount Rushmore, defense is a big part of that. And so we'll dive into that a little bit, but I wanted to start with today's game. I wanted to throw that out there. And before I do, shout out to Emmeline in the chat, Eileen, my wife is here as well, Laura Carson, Christopher Bennett, and a few others. Thank you guys for joining us, making us a part of your week every Sunday night. But today's win, the Bucs really needed a win. You got to beat who's in front of you on the schedule, even if it is the New York Giants. So 30-7 win. Did you get to see the entire game today?
I got to watch most of the game. I got to watch the game until the third quarter, and then I got called into work, so I had to go run into work. But I got to watch most of the game, and it was actually a good game. I enjoyed it very much. You know, we had a bye week last week, so I didn't get to watch them on TV, and then we had a rough 3-4 weeks before that, losing 3 out of the 4 games by field goals in the last second, which wasn't fun. And then I was at the game actually 2 weeks ago for the San Fran game in Raymond James Stadium. So I got to watch that live, which was a good game. The outcome wasn't good, but it was a great game. Nonetheless, came down to the last second field goal. So
Yeah, and I believe Christopher was there as well. He posts in the chat. I was in the stadium when the Bucks came home with the Lombardi Trophy. Another awesome experience.
That's excellent.
So,
that's
so
great.
he has.
That had to be an experience.
Do you have season tickets, Edwin, or do you go when you?
No. I just go every once in a while. I'll catch a game. I try to get at least one game a year.
Cool, that's awesome. And so let's talk about. There is a play in particular, and you viewers watching, I'm still learning how to do this a little bit. So if there's any hiccup. But there was a play today, Eileen let me know about that I have to kind of talk about. I think you know what I'm talking about. It's about a play that happened with a block by Baker Mayfield down the field. So be patient with me. I'm going to go ahead and see if this works here. And then, Darren, I want to get some insight on you and if you got to see this play. So let me do that real quick here. Let's see if this works.
Irving breaks a couple of tackles. Irving's got some daylight. Mayfield blocking for him. Irving still going to the 40-yard line. And how about Baker Mayfield in a 30-7 ball game, racing down the field to throw a block?
So if you guys got to see that, so hopefully everybody got to see that play just now. But what a tremendous play and what a job he's doing this year. So first, your thoughts, Edwin, on that play.
Oh my God! What can I say? That's just Baker. It's kind of dog he is. It's kind of player he is. That's why a lot of the fans and the players, they rally behind him. He's just that type of guy. He runs 30 yards down the field to make a block, even though they're up that much. You know, can't say much about that. He's just a team player.
Mm-hmm. And Darren, did you get an opportunity to see that particular play today? Or
there's a couple of things I just love about that play. One, again, I sound sometimes like an old man yelling at clouds. But one thing we talked earlier, for example, to one of my old college coaches, who 65 years old, was the goalie for practice that the San Jose Sharks had when they were playing the Rangers up here in New York. And I bring that all up because I don't care if you're in the pros or if you're just in little league. Bad tackling is bad tackling. If you play that again, it wasn't like the runner. I mean, the runner did a great job. Don't get me wrong. It was just going north-south, which is what I like to see. But it was just really shabby tackling. What I love about the play is that Baker Mayfield was running downfield and made a beautiful block. Those are the little things that get you to the Super Bowl, and then you win it. I just loved everything about that block. Bad tackling and great blocking.
And speaking of bad tackling, and if you got an opportunity to see the ending of that Washington Commander Dallas Cowboy game.
Yeah, it was a clown show.
There was practically no time left in the game, and then everything went wrong. I
didn't get to watch any of that. I didn't get to watch any of those highlights or any of that games because I was on my way home from work.
It was basically a short version. And Darren, if you want to jump in, I believe it was like an 86-yard. So Washington was down 7 points. I think it was a minute and 30 seconds. They had to go 90 yards or 80-something yards. And first play, 86-yard touchdown pass. It's only like a 10-yard pass, but went all the way down, scored the touchdown, and then the kick from Washington was no good to tie the game. And that was the
second miss of the day.
Yeah, second missed extra point of the day. So then Dallas scores, I think, again, or the interception. It was from the onside kick. And
that's their first game they won in months. Since I heard a stat, it was the first game they won since Major League was in the postseason.
Yeah. And in the comments, says the Bucky chant at MetLife Stadium was awesome.
He's a great addition. It's a great rookie they drafted, man. The kid is amazing. He's very explosive running back. He runs like your brother said. He runs north and south. He gets up the field and just runs downhill. There's no trying to juke people out. He's just trying to go right through you and go right down the field.
Yeah, it's a sidebar, but I mean, you follow football, obviously. Don't you hate on a 3rd and 1 or a 4th and 1 when the running back takes a sidestep, tries to read a hole? No, just get in there,
Get
Blow
in
your
the
head
hole.
and
Yeah.
get the yard.
If
you don't get the yard, tip the hat.
2 yards. Yeah. Sometimes you only need 1-2 yards, and they're going
right.
5 yards sideways, and then they don't end up getting 1-2 yards forward. It's like, oh my God.
What are you doing?
Yeah. I agree with you totally. Just go north. Put your head down and go up the field. That's it.
Yep, that's it. And we're here now, 11 games into the season.
You're right. I mean,
6 games left to go. So we're looking right now, as it stands, Falcons are ahead at 6-5. The Buccaneers are right behind them at 5-6. And then the Saints.
We're one game behind, but we're coming to the easy part of our schedule, which is good. We played the most hardest part of our schedule is in the first 11 games, which is I'm glad is over. So we beat some good teams. So we beat Detroit, we beat Philly, we beat some big teams that gives us good motivation to get in there and win some more games and make a run at the playoffs.
Yep, the only team that said that they can have a win against Detroit this season. So that's something to be said. And I believe the next game for Tampa Bay is against Carolina Panthers, one of the staples of our show. I am a Carolina Panthers fan, and we usually make fun of the Carolina Panthers, but these last 3 weeks they have came out and balled. Today took a game-winning field goal against with Kansas City. So that's a win in my book, for sure.
Yes.
With 2 wins they had coming into that. So it should still be a good game, but you're right. Tampa Bay's easier part of the schedule already passed. And Brian Anderson, Commanders fan, has just joined us as well. As will the real Commanders please stand up, right? I think they were 7-2, and now they're sitting at 7-5. Not sure what's going on.
They got a young quarterback. You got to give them some time to gel. Nobody really thought they would be where they're at right now, coming with a rookie quarterback, and a new coach, Dan Quinn, which he's a great coach. You know what I mean? So nobody really thought that they would be where they're at. You got to tip your hats off to them being up there with the Eagles right now in that division.
Yeah, they make the playoffs. It's all gravy. It's a good year.
Yeah. For sure. I agree.
And so, with those that are watching or may not be watching live that watch us, who are some players outside of Baker Mayfield that maybe some players that not a lot of people know about that are a big part of the Bucs' success this season? I know, maybe a few.
You got Mike Evans. You got Godwin that he's hurt right now. Otten stepped up at tight end. He stepped up big when Godwin and Evans was out. He came up big for us. Even though we lost the games, but he's out there catching balls. Then you got Bucky, and then you got Tucker, the other rookie running back that we signed. They're both running the ball really great, helping White out. So we got like a 3-headed monster. Those are some other players, and then we got good defense playing right now. So it's all it's a big team effort all around.
And and all it takes, and one of the things we say on the show a lot is just gotta get in. And so maybe at the end of the season they're sitting there with a record that's not ideal of a playoff team, but so what? That it's not going to be one seed every year. It's rare to see. Christopher mentioned Tyke Smith and McMillan as well.
Oh yeah.
So,
great addition receivers.
Yep. And so I wanted to talk about your and Darren, I want to get your thoughts on this question first, and then we'll go to you, Edwin. Which NFL stadium? I've only been able to go to a small handful, but I'm just pausing on the Bucs talk for just a minute. But which NFL stadium, Darren, have you not been to that is at the top of your list?
NFL stadium I haven't been to?
Yeah.
I want to just kind of go in the time machine and say I would have liked to have gone to the Sombrero because it was just shaped so beautifully, where Tampa Bay used to play. Mm-hmm. Right now, I've been to Dallas. I've been there. I would probably say, I really think I would like to go to Denver. Just the look, the mile high, just that whole thing. I think I'd really enjoy that. SoFi Stadium, maybe, but I would say Denver, without a question. Denver. More I think about it. Denver, okay, and then Buffalo. Because it's going away.
Yeah. For me, and then I'll get to that one. For me, it's Lambeau Field. I want, and Christopher mentioned that. I just want to.
Wow, how did I forget that? That's a great.
Yeah, I want to see everything close, on a Sunday and see what that's like. But Edwin, what's your pick? for that?
Oh, I would say I would like to go to see the new Raider Stadium in Vegas. It looks really awesome from what I see on TV. I've been to Dallas. I've been to Dallas Stadium. I've been to the Giants Stadium. I've been to the Eagles Stadium. I've been to Tampa. So I would say the new Vegas Stadium. It definitely looks really cool with the big torch up there and everything inside. You know,
What do you think? Let me ask you this about that stadium, because I've never been inside. I've been outside more than a few times.
Which one?
In Vegas.
Oh, okay. I've never been to the Vegas Stadium, but
what do you think about the fact that they can't really ever have a home crowd? Because it's true, right? You go there, you holiday, this or that. There really is no home field advantage. Yeah, Super Bowl is Vegas was sick. I'm sure it was. What do you think?
Raiders, they really have a good travel fan base, just like the Steelers do, and the 49ers. Their fan base travels really well. So it's not too far from Oakland where they were at, but I'd say they have a pretty good fan base that travels and to watch the game. So it's almost like, having a home stadium for them.
Well, that's a great point, because I lived out there for 16 years in Central California, and Vegas is like a home game. In fact, for example, with hockey, the NHL network, the Golden Knights games are on blackout because they're considered a home team. But the LA team is not, which is so weird.
Yeah, that's true. Now, I've been to Raymond James Stadium, not for a football game, believe it or not. I've been there twice, neither time for a football game. So what is that game day experience like? What are the must-dos at Raymond James Stadium?
Oh, every time I go, I try to get there early, just the tailgating outside in front of the stadium. They have a live drum line that comes up. They're playing, beating on the drums, getting the fans all into it. They got a mini parade right down the front street. A big ship comes down like a mini float, and pirates jump off and they pull his chest out. They start throwing shirts and beads at everybody. It's a really good time.
And you cannot sit in the pirate ship, right? I think you can go in it.
You can stand in there. You can go there and stand in there and watch the game.
Okay.
The cannons go off every time they score, which is really loud in the stadium. It's cool to ever experience that.
Yeah, because if you look it up, it's all over the place. Some people say you can't. Some people you can. Some people say you can go in there for a minute and look.
You can actually. I think they have a bar on there, if I'm not mistaken, where you can go up and drink and get a VIP package, like the season pass holders. They get special access to that and stuff like that before games start. So, a buddy at my job has season passes. He tells me about it all the time.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I was able, the last time I was there was actually for the most recent, not the most recent, but when WrestleMania was held there several years back. And it was the first live event in a year and a half because of COVID. And so it was the first time they had live fans. And we were all amped up for the show. And then right before it went live, it started downpouring, and they had put us on delay, and we had to go run for cover. So great experience there. I definitely need to get there for a game. For sure. But
it's a great time. I actually had a great time 2 weeks ago. My daughter and her boyfriend, they're San Fran fans, so they flew in for the game. We bought the tickets right when the schedule came out, and they knew we were going to play San Fran in Tampa. We bought the tickets. They flew down. We drove out early in the morning, got there early, just hung out outside, had a good time, had some pretty decent seats.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a really good game, coming down to the wire, last drive, field goal. First game, McCaffrey came back. So it was really exciting, really good game.
What do you think, Darren, about, and because you brought up a point I wanted to ask you about. So you had mentioned, they saw that they were playing them in the schedule. They bought the tickets and everything. Now we have here in 2024, we have the flex scheduling. And so what are your thoughts on the flex scheduling? Because we are going to have people that are going to miss out if the game time gets switched or the day gets switched even. I've seen that. So just your thoughts on that. Are you a fan of that?
So I'm kind of down the middle. I understand why they do it, because it's all about revenue and advertising dollars. I think it stinks. I think it really stinks for the reason that you say. I mean, hey, my significant other, you sit down, you're like, hey, got your gift. We're going to fly. And we're going to go here. It's a tight schedule. I know you have the big meeting the next day. And you can't do it. You can't do it because rich people need to make another dollar. Instead of making it convenient for everyone, here's what the schedule is. I'm going to be able to take off. I'm going to be able to do this or that. They don't care. And I get it. I understand. I won't lose sleep over it. But I think it's another terrible thing. Like, I think it's terrible. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but I think it's terrible that you have ESPN supporting gambling, and then in a little scroll they say, hey, if you bet over your head, call this number. Well, if you're betting over your head, you're not going to call the number because you're an addict.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So let's just be honest and say we're doing it for the money. People, too bad. For the 12 of you that we put out, who cares? We make a lot of money. That I can.
It's definitely about the ratings and all that they do.
Yeah.
That. Sometimes, as a fan, you kind of enjoy it because if you don't have the tickets, it doesn't really bother you. You're watching a good game.
Right. No, I get it. Yeah.
But then the ones that do buy the tickets ahead of time, it does suck for them because then they have to rearrange all their plans just for, these people to make another dollar, like you said.
Yeah. And if you look at before the season starts, it's most of the same. I mean, there's usually about 12 to 16 teams that don't get any primetime opportunity at all. But like with Major League Baseball, for example, one of the things we talk about, some of the best stars, your LA De La Cruz, Cincinnati Reds, and Paul Skeens, Pittsburgh Pirates, could be the best pitcher of our generation before it's all said and done. Only 1 year, so we'll see about that. But without getting an opportunity to showcase those teams, like those small market teams that maybe the ratings might not be there, but to showcase some individual talent on those teams and really grow the product that way, I think they're missing out on that. But I do get it. But I err on the same side as you, Darren, with that is, people are, the second that schedule comes out, they're not hesitating. Oh, I'm not sure. Like the diehards are getting them tickets right away.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked because I kind of went through it when Tampa wasn't that good years ago.
Yeah.
And we would. I'm living in Florida, and we would get blacked out on TV and on the local station because we weren't that good, and we wouldn't make it on the regular channel on ABC or Fox on the regular days. That kind of bummed me out too, because then I have to go searching somewhere else online trying to stream the game so I can see it when it should be on my local channel because they didn't want to do it because some other game was, some other team was playing a little bit better than we were.
Because if you go to a local restaurant or bar or something to watch Tampa Bay back then, when you're talking, I remember we would have to go find in a corner spot just to watch that game. It wouldn't be
black and white television.
Yeah.
So I got a weird random question, and trust me, it's not that I haven't slept, because I actually have. And anybody who's watching us, and thank you for that, please chime in. So if you're listening to the if you listen to the game on the radio in the car, right? So stay with me on this. I'm gonna blow your mind. You're gonna be able to not stop thinking about this for the whole night. When you listen to the play-by-play, which way is your team going? Left to right or right to left? Right?
Yeah, you don't know. You listen to it and hopefully they're going the way to the end zone.
Well, that's what exactly you want. But if you're trying to visualize it, and then if you make a U-turn, are they going the other way?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It's just that things like that. When you're sitting in traffic, you're like, which way are they going? Are they going toward the infield? They're going away from the infield? It's just whatever.
That's a valid question, though. But Edwin, I want to make sure we have some other things to talk about. I have to ask this. I want to make sure we don't lose track of time for this question.
Oh, no, you're good.
For the Mount Rushmore. So, as you mentioned, this is a staple of the show. So, a little bit of time to think about it. We basically ask for 4. It can be a coach. It can be someone in your lifetime. If you're not, it's an open-ended question because it all depends. You have Doug Williams, great quarterback, but wasn't my time when I was watching football. You know what I mean? You got Leroy Solomon. He was one of the greats for Tampa when he first started. But again, I didn't watch him play. I was too young. You know what I mean? So my Mount Rushmore is like Derek Brooks. You know what I mean? Warwick Dunn. Then you got Warren Sapp. You had John Lynch. You had Rondé Barber. You had Derek Brooks in the middle, and you had Simeon Rice on the other side of Warren Sapp. So, there's a lot. They're a very defensive playing team
very defensive.
Yeah, and I think you need like
Players.
6 there, so you have to kick out too. That's a hard. There's a lot of talent there.
Like there's so many. You know what I mean? Like Derek Brooks is Hall of Famer. Warren Sapp, another first ballot Hall of Famer. You know what I mean? John Lynch hasn't made it yet, but I'm pretty sure as soon as he makes the ballot, he'll be a first ballot all-timer. You know what I mean? He's doing great work over there in San Fran as their GM, so there's a lot, It's hard to just pick 4 or just, a certain amount,
So, yeah, I know it's hard to nip it down. I know I would pretty much agree with who you have. I would say for me personally, I would go with Derek Brooks. I would go with Warren Sapp. And then I would actually have Simeon Rice on there as well. Leaving off Mike Evans is hard, but I'm not going to include him. I still feel like he's got a little bit.
He's new era.
But my 4th would actually be, and he would be up probably at the top of my list, and may not be at the top of many people's list, but it just seems like a name that's been there forever doing things. Is Levante David.
Great linebacker. Great linebacker.
But if you're the other team, every time you see him across the field, so that would be my 4: Brooks, Sapp, Simeon Rice, and Levante David. So
you can't forget about Mike Allstott too. He was a great running back.
He's
different type of runner, different type of just man in general. He's so huge of a monster of a man running that ball back in the day.
Yeah, he was my number 5. He almost made it. He was stuck in the parking lot. But
people don't.
Darren, any omissions that we didn't include?
Well, so here are mine. I mean, you guys all mentioned them all, but my 4, and I'm pretty firm in these because no disrespect to the ones I leave out, but I've been around to see, the first 2 years they didn't win a game. Doug Williams brought them to the NFC Championship game in 1979 with nobody on the team. He was that talented and that much of a leader. So you have him, right? You have Leroy Solomon, right? The first Buccaneer to get into the Hall of Fame. So, he sets the standard. Warren Sapp, you just weren't running past that guy. You were getting hurt. You were going to get hurt. And then my 4th is Mike Allstott. The guy was just, you couldn't stop him. You understand? If you needed 2 yards, you got 3. And again, like you were talking about earlier, right? There was none of this pitter-patter. It was straight ahead.
No. Yeah.
Straight ahead. Let's go.
I see videos of this guy carrying 3-4 guys on his back, and he's still gaining 5 to 6 yards every time he touched the ball.
He was like John Riggins. He was very much like John Riggins. Yes, Steve Sperry was their first quarterback. That's right. Most people don't realize that. And then realize I should go into coaching because, he was good, but he had nobody around him. And again, no disrespect to Brady, but, what Brady brought to the team was fantastic. But what he brought to the team is what Peyton Manning brought to Denver. Some stability, let's go, and it's just nothing against it. But,
he brought a winning mentality to the team.
Yes.
The team was there. The team was there the year before he got there. We had the same players, same everything. We just didn't have that quarterback, that one to get us over that hill. You know what I mean? He came in, he didn't make that many mistakes. He threw some interceptions, but he wasn't like a Jameis Winston when he was throwing 30 interceptions a year. You know what I mean? He minimized the mistakes. He brought the team together with more of a winning mentality. Like, listen, we can do this. It's not giving up. He's a very team player, as you can see, of all the years he played in New England, taking pay cuts to keep his team together and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So he brought a very different dynamic to the team when he came.
Right now, he's on the Mount Rushmore of NFL period and New England. But if I'm to pick 4,
he can't make. He was only there for 3-4 years, so you can't really put him out there.
Yeah,
Derek Brooks played his whole career in Tampa. Warren Sapp played almost 10 years in Tampa. You know what I mean?
You can't take any of those guys off, and they went through the tough stuff.
Yes.
And Eileen mentioned in there, says this girl is not a Brady fan. Mayfield is better. So that leads me to this off the track question, though. And I'm not quite sure who that person is, but is it difficult? If there is that one guy that maybe a division rival, a hated, not in a real hate, just in the sports world, that gets signed to your team, and is it instant change of like, oh, that's okay now. He's wearing my team's colors, or is it? I'm holding
That
a grudge,
I'm
I'll
going to
support
be
my team.
honest. I hated Brady until he became a Buck and won us a Super Bowl. I hated the guy because he was so good in New England. He's Super Bowl after Super Bowl, playoff after playoff. You know what I mean? It was just unreal what he was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then once he became a Buck, it was like, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl. We'll get our ring. Let's get our Lambeau trophy. Let's go get it. So
Yeah.
I have to admit, I was that way with Brady until he put on a Buccaneers jersey.
And then you had to, then you're like, oh, we might win some. And mentioned Jameis Winston, 30 TDs, 30 interceptions. How awesome was that? And my apologies to Emmeline, if you're still watching, about Thursday night. I know that you want to pretend Thursday night didn't happen, but how awesome was, because she's a Steelers fan, but how awesome was just to see what's going on with Jameis Winston and just his pregame chat, just, shouting out to the Lord, and just, and then I saw the video of him doing snow angels on the field after the game. It was just awesome to see that.
You don't know what you're getting with Winston when you play against him. You can get a good Winston or you can get a bad Winston. You just never know.
That's why he had 30 TDs and 30 interceptions.
Yes.
He's too generous. It's great. Seems like a new lease on life, but he was always too generous. He'd throw the other team a ball too many times just to help him out, I guess. I don't know.
I used to hate watching when he played. I wouldn't watch the game until the second quarter because I knew the first 3 drives he'll turn the ball over and we were playing behind. So I wouldn't rush home to watch the game when he was quarterbacking. I would wait until, he always played better when he was playing from behind, like he did in college in Florida State. He always played better playing from behind. So I would just let him get behind first and then start watching the game. I'm like, all right, let's go, buddy. Now you ready for your 3 interceptions. Now let's play the game.
Yes. And Chris mentions going back to Brady, as a Giants fan, I hated him. As a Bucs fan, I loved him. Well, yeah, of course, for sure.
Of course.
So let me ask this question. This is a little bit off. Ask you both this. So if you had an opportunity to play for, and I'm going to adjust a little bit. If you had an opportunity to choose between having 3 years as a NFL player, having that experience, or 20 plus years as a coach in any capacity, basically like a lifetime contract type of thing as a head coach, would you take that 3 years just for that experience on the field, or would you take that longevity of that opportunity to be a coach in some capacity? What would you say? And that I'll start with you, Darren, with that.
I would pick coaching. I've done both, and I miss playing very, very much. I miss playing college, but I love working with athletes, helping them get better, and I just love game planning. I love taking somebody and maximizing their talent. And sometimes the greatest coaching, it doesn't matter the sport, are those that were not able to play at the highest level. Because you got to think about ways of innovating and being better. But I would pick the coaching.
You'd pick coaching. Same question, Edwin. It was if you could have a choice, that magic 8 ball. You have a 3-year career as an NFL player at the highest level, or a lifetime contract as a coach. What would you choose?
I would have to say 3 more years of playing. I stopped playing ball when I was in high school. And then I started playing flag football when I moved here, and we won quite a few championships. And then I blew my knee out, so I couldn't play no more. But I still would go out and watch my team and watch them play, and it just killed me inside because I wanted to go out there and keep on playing because I just love the game that much. So I think I would just choose another 3 years of playing in the pros and playing at that high caliber and that team aspect. I think I would pick that.
You pick that. As I go back to, you mentioned the injury, and one of the best, I think it was actually one of the first sitcom shows that I watched on Netflix, but it was Friday Night Lights, and there's actually discussion about bringing that back, kind of rejuvenating it. But similar thing, the star quarterback injured, couldn't play anymore, obviously from paralyzed from the waist down. Such a great show, great cast of characters in that show. So kind of torn. I would love to see some more of it, but I'm kind of like, don't bring it back. But at the same time, if it's anywhere near what it used to be, I wouldn't mind it so much. But
it was a great show. It was actually a great movie that they took the show.
Wonderful movie.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim McGraw was so
Texas,
good in that.
Yes.
That movie was so good.
Yes. Really great movie that they took it from and made a great, awesome show about it.
Yeah, definitely.
I got a weird thing I want to throw out there. You ready? And again, people who are watching us, please chime in. Do you know how Baker Mayfield at first was considered a flop and a lot of people didn't like him? At least that was the perspective that I would get from some of the people I would interview or whatnot. And I think
a lot of people thought he was arrogant coming out of college.
But see, here's my thing without putting on the tin hat for conspiracies. I truly believe people mixed him up with Johnny Manziel. I truly believe because Johnny Manziel just came, and all that, and then here came Baker Mayfield, talked a little loud, no doubt, that he kind of got swept up in that rip current of Johnny Manziel. And now that he's away from all that nonsense, he can just be him. He's a wonderful quarterback.
Yeah. He's a great quarterback. He's actually a great teammate, too. I think he just got a bad rap because he never had a consistent offense coordinator. Every year he played in Cleveland, he had a brand new offense coordinator, brand new head coach. You know what I mean? He just never had consistency. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And then Carolina didn't have a team to play for. That was
right.
Yeah.
So
and then when he played for the Rams for a little bit, played one game and took him to a playoff. Yeah, and he won. And then we picked him up the next year after that and gave him, kind of gave him a home and kind of gave him that confidence. Like, listen, we believe in you, and we want you to be our quarterback. And here's the team, and let's go out there and play. You know what I mean? I wish our offense coordinator wouldn't took that head job, but he, move on to bigger things. He would have been amazing this year with more consistency as having the old offense coordinator we had last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to, so I want to ask this question here. It's always fun to hear different perspectives on this as well. So here we are this week of the NFL season. I believe it's week 12. So Edwin, your NFC and AFC representatives in the Super Bowl this year. It's interesting to kind of compare to what I thought early in the season to where it's at now. But starting with you through week 12, what is your and if you feel like including Tampa Bay, go ahead. But you're honest.
I don't see Tampa Bay, but I do see Detroit. Detroit is high power offense, great defense. They have a great head coach. Very, very players head coach. He was a player, so he knows what the guys are like. He knows what they want. He knows what they listen to. I'd say Detroit definitely one of my top teams. And on the other side, I don't know. It's still it's tough out there. It's there's a couple of them. So I would like to see Detroit. I would really like to see Detroit go all the way and win it.
Yeah, and just a side note, Chris mentioned Baker Mayfield bought football equipment for a Space Coast football team. They mentioned that during the game today. Space Coast Cobras. How awesome is that?
$75,000. He was like, it was awesome.
It was awesome.
Great.
And so you mentioned the Detroit Lions. I think everyone's secretly voting for, just hoping that they can get there this year. How awesome is it that on Thanksgiving, and we're going to segue to that in just a minute, but we get to watch a meaningful Detroit Lions football game on Thanksgiving this year. That game is going to be very good. And so, we usually look to Dallas's game, but that game, so I almost had to adjust the time I was eating to make sure I could watch some of that Lions game this year. But yeah, I think, and I said this, I think 2 weeks ago, but Kansas City to me, obviously they find a way, or annoying, they find their way everywhere, but I still don't feel like this team's as good as their last. I know their record is what it is, but I feel like if you look at a lot of the stuff there, especially today with Carolina, there's a lot of very, very close games that they normally would have pulled away from. So despite their record, I want to say they're not the team opposing Detroit. But then you get, you see Baltimore and you're like, they're it. But then they lose to Cleveland. And then you look at a team like Pittsburgh and then they lose to Cleveland. But those are divisional games. So I think when it's all said and done, looking at a Ravens will get past the Chiefs and then it'll be Ravens Lions Super Bowl, in my opinion, because when you look at those division rival games, anything can happen. So
that's another big thing. Divisional games are very tough. You see each other twice a year. You play each other like so many times over the years. It's more of a rivalry. Anybody can win it no matter what your record is. The divisional games are tough. And that's what I like towards the end of the seasons now. Lately, they've been putting a lot of divisional games towards the end. So it really makes you play to get into the playoffs. It makes you watch it a lot more because it's divisional, and they mean a lot more towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it does. And one thing I was talking with Emily a couple weeks ago when she was on is I believe that Pittsburgh's 6 divisional games didn't start until week 10, I believe it was. So 6 of their last 8 games are divisional games. That's not common to have 9 weeks of play without a single divisional game. So I thought that was interesting that that happened. So they're going to be seeing a lot more of division here as these weeks go by. Christopher mentioned Lions Chiefs. That is a popular one. That's why, like I said, Lions Ravens at my end. Which would you say, Darren, at this time?
Repeat that, please. It broke up.
So we have my thought is Lions Ravens. Christopher said Lions Chiefs.
It's going to be Bills Lions.
Bills Lions.
Wow.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Bills could be right there as well. Yep. I didn't mention them, but definitely could be. So I want to. It looks like we have just under 10 minutes left here on the podcast. So again, thank you for watching along with us both on YouTube and Facebook Live. Super excited to be on that platform as well as we continue to grow. And remember, the goal for this year is 1,500 subscribers by the end of December.
Come on, people.
So we will make that happen. Please subscribe if you have it. So I want to segue into Thanksgiving. We talked about kind of watching the Lions on Thanksgiving, and so I wanted to start with you, Edwin, on your in a perfect world. What's your Thanksgiving Day tradition on and off the field, meaning football related and non? Like what is and those watching, please feel free to throw your traditions in the chat as well. But
we used to play. It was called the Turkey Bowl. We used to wake up and play flag football. Me, my brother-in-law, a bunch of their friends. Obviously, I go out and just watch them play now because I can't play because of my knee. But they still get up. We get up early, 9 o'clock in the morning. We're out there on the field playing football. Then I come home and start prepping the food for dinner. And then I sit down and watch football. And then I get my deep fryer ready because then I'll deep fry my turkey about 45 minutes, an hour right before we get to sit down and eat because it'll take forever to cook. And then just hang out with family the rest of the day.
Yes. And what is the eating time? I feel like every year my eating time is completely. I think we settled on 1 o'clock this year. Sometimes it's much later, but do you have like a preference on time? Like, do you like later in the day? Or
it's about midday. We're gonna sit down. It's usually about either 3, 4 o'clock. Like this year, it's 3:30, so we could sit down and eat early enough, and then everybody can relax a little bit and have seconds if they want a little bit later on, so it's not too late at night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what do you call it? And just a side note before I ask yours, Darren, Edwin, you might not be able to play football, and I know you're playing a little bit of softball, but I think Edwin's top thing would have to be cornhole. He is a beast on the cornhole.
Yes.
I was going to say cornhole court.
I love it. I'm from up north, so I used to play a lot of horseshoes and quoits until I moved here. And then once I moved here, I was introduced to cornhole, and then I just haven't played anything other than that now. So I try to master it. I've been watching a lot of it on ESPN and learn different techniques to throw my bag and push and get air mails. And so I've come a little bit from when I first started playing.
One thing that's fun with cornhole as a challenge is because sometimes if you have a certain kind of matchup, it's basically like you get so much work in, and then you get 2 in the hole and 2 over the hole and all that work, and the points cancel out and nothing changes. And so it can feel like Monopoly at times because you feel like you're never going to get to the end. So hosting a few tournaments that I've had, on paper it looks great, but then you get that one match that just won't end, and then people have to leave early, and so it can get hard to move it along. But it is a fun game for sure.
Oh, definitely is. I love it.
Yeah. So Darren, same question, your Thanksgiving tradition.
So it kind of changes. When I was younger, and still in my heart, this is it. It was Channel 9, WOR, King Kong, then Mighty Joe Young, and then Son of Kong. And during Son of Kong, dinner was served around 4 o'clock. And that's the time we still eat. And then when I got older, it was all about the Turkey Bowl. It was all about playing the Turkey Bowl. Yes. And Turkey Bowl was the game, and I missed it terribly. And because he played, it was awesome. It was just wonderful. And now it's more about just being thankful and grateful. And usually we eat around 4:00. Though this year and last year, with what I do for a living, I won't be getting home until about 8:30, 9:00 at night. But I'm just thankful that we have family to enjoy Thanksgiving.
So even on this
Amen to that.
Thanksgiving, you won't be home till you won't be there in the morning. Even you'll be there all day.
Oh yeah, I'll be there all day serving.
Yeah. Well, praise God, like you said, for the evening, because you still have come home to and all that. And Chris mentioned about the cornhole boards. Come play on the custom National Tax Solution boards. So sure, we'll make that
Have some
happen.
custom Tampa ones. You're lucky they're not hanging on the wall behind me.
Yep. And real quick, with the, I have to say, I could be wrong. It feels like every time that Tampa Bay wears those the old uniform colors, it's always an L. Like every.
Yeah, it is. It is, but I love them. I love them.
Creamsicles,
wear
come
them
on.
all year. I wish they would wear them all year. I like it.
Because I
love
think
those
even if you
unis.
look at the Tampa Bay Devil Ray record, is like a lot of L's too. It's just a thing, but people love just going back to it, the throwback for that for sure. For me, I always have to start with the parade on in the morning. Now I've gotten less interested year after year. Like I miss when it was just floats and like actual entertainment.
Thank
now
you.
It's all these weird stage shows and productions, and it's just kind of awkward. So I have it on just because I'm used to doing it. I kind of like kitchen TV on those days. But again, it's watching some football, not all. I don't want to be watching all 3 games, I think, now every year. I don't think the third game is the same. Like we know Dallas and Detroit host every year. I think that third game kind of differs. Sometimes it's
Correct.
Green Bay, sometimes it's Denver. So I don't want to watch football the whole day. But 100%, there will not be any Black Friday shopping on my Thanksgiving. I think I miss the days when it was 4 or 5 in the morning on the Friday. Like I was all about that. I'd get up early, get me some Denny's, and then go shopping and do all that stuff. But now, like I don't. Like I think it's a crime that any stores are open on Thanksgiving outside of like your gas station, McDonald's.
Yes.
Because
I want to go to Denny's right now. Thanks for triggering me. I missed it. I enjoyed it. I really did.
Yeah. Yep. You got to have some places open like that. I understand, but I don't want to be leaving my dinner table at 2 to save $45 on a 60-inch TV or
Yes.
whatever.
It's just ridiculous.
I remember
Ridiculous.
the moment. Because it was always a thing. I remember the moment that I stopped being a Black Friday person was at Walmart getting something, and there was pandemonium behind me. People were just diving into the box, and I'm like, "What is in this thing? It must be
just
gold."
ridiculous.
And
That is ridiculous.
It was $12 off on fitted sheets, and these people were like swimming in the box like they were looking for gold buried treasure. It was just that's all it was. So
it brings out the worst in people.
It does.
It definitely does. I don't understand why people get like that.
Yeah, and odds are, guys, if you're watching this and you're getting a TV on Black Friday and it's like 70 inches or above, and you're getting it for under $500, it's probably the cheapest brand on the market. So save your money, save up for something that's going to last.
Yep.
So
For sure.
If that's your gig, that's fine, but not me.
I prefer to sleep in, not even worry about it.
Yes. But thank you, Edwin. Darren, any final question or final thought as we shut down here?
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. It was a blast, and God bless, and look forward for the next time.
Yes, definitely.
I got a quick one. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Ready? And Michael, I'm going to start with you first. All right. What is your one Thanksgiving Day memory that's more in your mind? Is it A, did Leon touch the ball and let Miami win the game, or Lawrence Taylor's interception in the Silverdome, taking it 99 yards the other way for a touchdown?
Close. I'm going to go with A, Alex, on this one. Close, but I'm going to go with A.
Excellent. And how about yourself, Edwin?
I would go with B. I would take B. Lawrence Taylor I'm a defensive player. I love it. I used to love hitting people. So to see a defensive player to take it and go all the way, it's always a blast to see that.
It's like, to me, it's a tie because Lawrence Taylor, iconic, the whole thing, and Liam, great play, but what a bonehead. He just, thank you, Christopher Bennett. Super Bowl, he starts to put the ball out 1 yard shy, and ball gets knocked out. And then on Thanksgiving Day, he touches the ball. He had no business going anywhere near.
No, not at all. And just my final thoughts. I want to share again. Thank you, Chris, for not only partnering with us here on the show, but is a proud sponsor of the 16th annual Family Christmas Extravaganza. We are believing we're believing between 28 and 29,000 people this year. It's going to be amazing. So much time in putting into this event. But thank you, Christopher. Your partnership is really going to go a long way in just blessing these families that I've seen firsthand, where just one toy might be all that they get. And such a great time. And it's a day where we leave our tablets and our phones at home and just enjoy the outdoors and company instead of the technology all the time. So I just really, really excited about that. And then one final, just wanted to mention, while we will be live a week from tonight, 8:00 again, we'll let you know who the guest is going to be. But something exciting that I want to mention that's going to start in January. We are, those of you that are wrestling fans, WWE fans, the product is as hot as it's ever been right now. And so starting the first Monday of January, when WWE goes live on Netflix, I will begin just to live stream, do live watch-alongs for the Monday Night Raw episodes when they move to Netflix. It's going to be an awesome time. So make sure you set the calendar for that. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, make fun of it with me. That's fine. I love it. I'll always love it. I'm 43 years old. I still watch it. It's not real, I know, but it's enjoyable.
All-time favorite, Ultimate Warrior.
Ultimate Warrior. Yes.
He's my all-time favorite, baby.
With Ultimate Warrior, I got to see him inducted to the Hall of Fame, and then that's the next morning is when he passed.
He passed the next day.
Really? Yeah, just awful. But at least I was there and got to experience that. So
Evelyn said the Bushwhackers.
Oh, Luke. Oh, yes.
Exactly. She was going like this.
Yeah, one of them was doing an appearance locally here. But yeah, so thank you all for watching. This was a blast. We'll definitely have you on again, Edwin, when the time's right.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll make it happen. Thank you, Darren. And until next time, everybody, we'll see you around the ballpark.